Good morning and welcome to Frontiers of Knowledge of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. We are in the habit of saying necessity is the mother of invention. That's not perfectly true. Necessity might be the nurse of or the medical assistant of the creation of innovation, but it doesn't by itself create innovation. The real mother of invention is, in fact, not necessity, but nature. The dependence of human innovation on nature has often not been acknowledged, while there is a close connectivity in the two. As a matter of fact, if we look at nature around us, and if we look at the inventions, we will find the close affinity and how nature, in fact, is responsible for giving birth to those things which make us wonder how did it happen. Nature always has its own solutions to any issue, whether it's a mechanical issue or a structural problem. Nature can solve it without generating excess waste. That's the most important thing. Whenever nature produces something, there's no waste. While while we produce something, the byproducts, the waste, they are really tremendous. And nature is then the thing which enables us to help create those things of wonder which make life worth living. Now, mimicking nature, I call it biomimicry. So, biomimicry needs an amalgamation of biological sense and technological data. You use the input given by the nature, use the technology developed by human brain, and you would find that both systems have a different evolutionary timescale. For instance, biological process has been evolving for the last thousands of centuries, not of years, while technology has been escalating only in, say, maximum 2 centuries. Before that, we were not technologically advanced, at least as far as the written history goes. And the differences between the technology and the protocol of nature follow are immense, including genetic codes, environment, and biological clock. So we have to presume to be from inception dependent on nature. Now, this century is basically an acknowledgement of nature. And when we look at the various disciplines, the use of the word bio shows how much indebted we are to nature, the biological processes. And whether it's biomimicry, as they call it, earlier it was biometrics, bionic, biodesign, biomorphic, bioutilization, biophilia, biodeprivation. Yes, even deprivation can be based on nature. And with the evolution of science, biomimicry has taken a very new direction, and that economical frame of reference to evaluate the validity of our inventions. So basically, if you have a graphic representation of the forces of nature evolving something and doing something, and compare it with a time frame and the effort that has been used, you would be really astonished. As a matter of fact, if we look at biomimicry, it can be classified into three stages. And I'm talking about biomimicry as a new discipline that needs to be incorporated in the syllabi of the universities and the schools. Because biomimicry understanding would help people think around and then see how can we utilize this to further our interest, our goal of human development. Now, as I was saying, it can be classified into three forms. First, the form. We look at a form and then the process, how it evolved. We look at anything. And then the process. And then the ecosystem. How does it fit in the system? Form was apple falling on the head of Newton. The process, why did it fall? Why did it not go up? Why did it not go slanting? So the process, then he understood, which was in nature the force of gravity, but then he gave it a certain, through the process, a form. And then adjusted it, fitted it in the ecosystem. This biomimicry is in fact the duplication of the process of nature and the characteristics traits of the organism, namely appearance, visual shape, components, materials, and morphological feature. The second step would be, of course, to investigate further the viability of attributes to apply the medium under observation. If both the processes exhibit a positive result, then the method seeks to duplicate the form and the processes of an ecosystem. And here the biomimicry is the height. Now, as a matter of fact, biomimicry is not so simple. It surpasses any analogy and executes at diverse stages, such as organism, behavior, ecosystem. And biomimicry can extend, in fact, I was thinking, there's not only one thing. It can range from architecture to material sciences, chemistry, where it continues to provide new and innovative insights into engineering problems. The, in fact, without naming it, scientists have been using biomimicry for the last 30 years. And most of the inventions and most of the developments in the last 30 years, I had a look at it, have been inspired by reptiles, by insects, by mammals, and invertebrate species. Even your niner, the thread is from the spider, the silk. So adapted, and the most thing is adaptable, these envelopes which you use. The first generation inspired material was mimicked from their way pollination system. How the pollination mechanism in Sterliza, which now they call electrophims, inspired them to make an envelope, adhesive envelope. Very simple. You look at it and then you make the envelope. The envelope employs the traits of the reversible material deformation called electrophims in the presence of an external force. You press it. And we can call it a shading system. The investigation of the shading system was further attributed to kinetics, and it was inspired the motion of a planned movement known as electrofins. So even the simplest things in life have been inspired by nature. And as a matter of fact, that is the root of all progress. You observe nature and you apply it. Now, the things have not stopped there. As a matter of fact, active materials are now being studied during the day. They see how the system responds to the changing sunlight condition during the daytime. And based on the natural phenomena of the response, even of spruce cones, the pine cones sort of a thing, how they come in contact with humidity. So from here, the concept of hygroskin was born. And the hygroskin uses such an inspiration, that relativity, to sense and interact with the surroundings. So one thing led to another, led to the third, and the pace of the progress of knowledge, investigation into the phenomena of nature, inspired them to think, why can't we do it? How can we do it better? Your buildings are inspired by the nature. You look at the spider web and come up with an architectural design. Even the artists, look at leave the sense aside. They have been inspired by nature mostly. And as a matter of fact, if I look at the bone system, how the bones used to be repaired, was again calcification. They studied how nature adapted bones, and can we not use it? The whole of medical science, antibiotics, antivirals, and medication is in fact derived from science, and not from science, from nature. So the connectivity in the two, if it's architecture, we have seen it, building constructions, physics, chemistry, of course, biology itself is a study of animals. But from there we derive that. And the most important thing which has come up is our infrastructure development. For example, the first generation, I'll leave it. We started with basically Newton, but then it hasn't stopped there. Now I would say that this word is in the third generation of biometrics, rather biomimicry. And as I said earlier, this is a high time that the schools and the colleges incorporate the discipline of biomimicry as a full-fledged discipline, because that is going to be the base of all biological studies, whether it's marine or whether it's human or architecture or any other field. Now, I'll give you a couple of excellent developments which simply make us wonder, how is it possible? The bullet train has been in news since Japan introduced and then came in all the other countries, whether it was China or France or USA, and now they have come up with a hyperloop trains. These were inspired by a bird, kingfisher bird. The scientists saw the bird fly, traced the complete map of how it flies, the speed with which it goes, and what propels it that it can fly faster and safer than other birds. So they were inspired by the kingfisher and came up with a bullet train. Now, most of you would not even be aware of that. Even I wasn't aware at one time. But this marvel of speed and infrastructure development is the result of mimicking nature. The second one, we are short of water, we know it. And then the Israelis came up with a concept of water harvesting. Water harvesting, could you ever have thought 50 years back? No, till the Israelis studied an insect called Citronora cara beetle. This beetle, how it saves water. So they studied this beetle and then incorporated it and developed it from lab scale to the commercial scale. And now water harvesting is considered to be very common. But the original inspiration was Citronora cara beetle. Then camouflage. The armies have to camouflage themselves. We have to protect our border. So this was from camouflage. How animals camouflage themselves. They merge in the nature. They emerge in the ecology. Chameleon, for example, itself, changing colors like a chameleon. That inspired that why can't we make materials that change and adjust according to the landscape. If it's a desert, become a sandy dune. If it's a forest become a foliage and like that. So the whole concept of camouflage is based on nature. Then shock absorbing. You are driving in a car, you say, my shock absorbers are not working properly, I'm receiving shock. What sort of thing is it? Do you know? This is inspired by woodpeckers and then wind turbines. You'll be amazed. It is humpback whales which inspired wind turbines, and they are the reason that you get all the energy. Now, these are just an examples. As a matter of fact, in whichever sector you go, as I said earlier, in any discipline, you would find that the contribution of nature is paramount. And in fact, our progress without being dependent on nature would be zero, zilch, nada. So that's why I call nature to be the mother of invention and necessity the wet nurse of invention. Well, this is a new proverb I've coined. Maybe you can use it when you feel like it. Thank you.